This is a true story. Since the year 2000, an eerie and impressive half-sunken ship has been abandoned in Roderick Bay of the Ngala Islands, near the Solomon Islands, in Micronesia. I was on that ship the day it sunk, working as a waiter, and I've got an unbelievable untold story to reveal. For those who are not familiar with this very special ship and its fate, I will start with a quick introduction. The MS World Discoverer was born in 1974, in Bremerhaven, Germany. With a capacity of 230 people, 150 passengers and 80 crews, the World Discoverer was a home to many expedition groups, led by historians, archaeologists, geologists, marine biologists, photographers, allowing them to land on the most remote shorelines and observe its wildlife, by using inflatable zodiacs that the vessel was equipped with. The World Discoverer was, for many reasons, one of a kind, as she was constructed for exclusive cruising expeditions near or around icebergs. This ocean liner also had an over 8,000-mile cruising range, allowing her to be the first ship to ever transit the Northwest Passage. From March to May she would cruises around the South Pacific Islands. It was in one of this South Pacific trips that on April 30, 2000, this adventurous and intrepid ship hit a large uncharted reef on the Solomon Islands Sandfly Passage, which would sadly put her on premature retirement. But let's go back to the 28th and 29th of April to see what else happened. Everything was so fascinating. Every day we visited a different paradise. Vanuatu, where the Aborigines lived in the most flourishing nature, truly far from our Western reality. Papua New Guinea, where the Aborigines received us bareback, with straw skirts and thick blonde hair, dancing and playing with great bamboo flutes Peruvian style. Another very significant characteristic of these tribes was definitely superstition. Unfortunately, I don't remember the exact date, but surely 2 or 3 days before the fateful 30th of April, before docking on the next island, the ship's walls were filled with a warning message saying that the inhabitants of the next island refuse the color red. They believe it's bad omen and carries bad luck, and therefore it was advised not to wear, or at least to cover, any garment that contained the cursed color. I believe I respected the ban. I was fascinated by these things too. But, without blaming anyone, I'm not sure that we all followed the advice. Accidentally but inevitably, some red could have appeared in the logo of a hat, the backpack pocket, a camera bag, a sock. In short, I can't prove it, but if the island was stained of this forbidden color, it could explain why, less than 24 hours later, on Sunday, April 30, 2000, at 4 p.m. local time, we hit a large uncharted reef. What do you think? Is there a connection? Just a coincidence? It's the 30th of April 2000, almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I just finished my shift, heading towards my cabin, still in my black trousers and white shirt. I stopped on the way as some Philippines crew members were celebrating a birthday, and they invited me to eat some random raw fish bites, and a whiskey shot to go with it. But suddenly, we felt the impact. We hit something big. At first we thought of a whale. Within 30 seconds we saw all the people from the lower decks, the laundry and the engine rooms, running up the stairs, due to a major water leak. We hit a large reef formation, which opened a breach on one side of the ship. A distress signal was immediately sent out by the captain and was received by the Solomon Islands capital Honiara, 6 hours away from us. A first alarm went off, alerting the crew to get ready for a possible evacuation. It didn't take long to confirm it with the second and official one, 7 short blasts and a long one. Evacuation. We have to evacuate over 200 people, with the ship pending and slowly sinking on one side. The situation is tense. The first sign of danger was the loss of balance as the ship slowly leaned on one side. We had to hold on to the handrail to walk along the corridors. It was when the water touched the electrical installations that I realized that it was something serious, and from now, there was no turning back. With the rest of the crew members, we had to act now and move fast. So after checking every corner of the ship as per manual, we head for our lifeboats. There were 4 lifeboats of about 60 people each, 20 crew and 40 passengers were assigned to each lifeboat. The first lifeboat goes down smoothly with the first 60 castaways. It's the turn of the second lifeboat. I follow in disbelief what happens. It is not yet my turn and the ship bends more and more. The sound of the broken dishes coming from the kitchen, and a dense electrical smoke, accompanied this eternal wait. Here we are, at the third lifeboat, mine. I approach the boat, and there is a Philippine crew member at the helm already on board. I place myself at the entrance to help passengers to get on and sit in order, so that we could all fit in. Suddenly, with only 12 passengers on board, one of the two chains that hold my lifeboat collapses. And we slipped down by about 1 meter, finding ourselves suspended in the air, diagonally, attached to one side by 2 chains, and on the other by 1. After various failed attempts to raise the side that has yielded, the rescue officer resigns himself to bring down the upper side. With a steel cut the chain, and with an abrupt movement we're back leveled, but suspended, halfway between them and the water. The rescue officer made the final decision to take my lifeboat down, with only 12 people on board. Which means that 50 people remained behind without a lifeboat. The ship continues to bend in the opposite side of the last lifeboat, which, already overloaded, bumps inevitably against the side of the ship, and for a miracle did not overturn. For a few but interminable seconds, we heard the cries of fear of people aboard the lifeboat, leaning on one side. After several unsuccessful attempts, the rescue officer decides to bring all the passengers back on board, ending a nightmare, and immediately starting another one. At this point there were 100 people on board without a lifeboat. It is here that the entire crew performed a masterpiece of rescue, by using a wooden ladder fixed to the main exit on the dry side of the ship. A couple of meters below there is me, in my lifeboat with only 12 people on board, to receive them by the ankles. All passengers managed to get to safety with some of the crew sitting on the rooftops of the 3 overloaded lifeboats. We just have to wait for news from the captain, who, together with an interpreter and the rescue officer, landed on the nearest island, asking permission for an unexpected and temporary landing of about 200 people on their island, assessing the hospitality and safety. They managed to convince the Aborigines, so we disembark and we follow them to the interior of the island through the forest until we come out. Guess where? The kitchen, of course. I remember the strange feeling that I experienced in those moments. At every moment anything could have happened. We were shipwrecked, in the hands of an unknown Aboriginal tribe, with God knows what beliefs, what rituals, and above all, what diet. It got dark soon and I think we've been there 4 or 5 hours. Finally, a couple of ferries approached the island and all passengers and crew were unharmed and transported to safety. The skilled captain, Oliver Cruis, was able to navigate the damaged ship into Roderick Bay and grounded it to avoid sinking. Michael Lomax, president of Society Expeditions, congratulated the captain and crew for their heroic and professional actions, saying that they performed in an exemplary manner during the crisis. While the ship would have been in a decent enough position to have been recovered, all efforts on that front were lost. And with the waves and tidal changes, the ship deteriorated even more. It got to the point where the ship has been deemed a loss to the fleet, and it remains on the Solomon Islands to this day. Despite its unfortunate fate, due to the unusual position of the ship, local kids play on it daily. And many tourists come to admire the half-sunken beauty. It became a very popular dive site, where divers love to go inside the ship. It is even possible to see the ship from above with Google Maps satellite view. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe if you like more travel videos.